Hey folks, I am Evil Viking 13, and today I have an introduction guide for you for vehicles in Battlefield 4. Before we look at the vehicles themselves, don't forget about your movement modification keys. On PC, left control allows you to move more slowly, then you have your standard acceleration with the W key, and then if you hold shift while moving forward, you get a speed boost. This works for, as far as I can tell, all the vehicles. Now the first thing you want to look at when you're looking at any of the vehicles for your team, you've got to remember that these are not your vehicles. These are team assets, and your team only gets a certain number of them for the entire team. Just because you managed to get to the main battle tank first, doesn't mean that it's your personal killstreak machine. There are definite ways to do well as a player, while still helping your team out. One of the most important things you have to look at when you're grabbing any of the vehicles in the game is you have to make sure that these vehicles do not fall into enemy hands. In most cases, it's better to go down with the ship, try to get a few more kills, take a few more objectives, and just go down fighting, rather than hop out and try to run away from an attack and lose your vehicle to the enemy, who will definitely repair it and use it against you. And once the enemy team starts stealing your vehicles, it's hard to turn back that tide. So let's break it down vehicle by vehicle. Let's take a look at the transports first. Now most of these are unarmed, they're just for transportation, and really the main thing you have to worry about here is don't leave teammates behind in the spawn. When you hop onto a transport vehicle, especially near the beginning of the match, check around you and see if any teammates need a ride. Just wait another 10 or 15 seconds and help your teammates get to the objectives faster. More points for you, and you'll have some backup if you run into trouble. To begin the armed vehicles, let's take a look at the infantry fighting vehicles. This includes the LAV-25 and the ZBD-09 for the Chinese team. These vehicles are amphibious, they can hold a lot of troops, they come with a main 30mm cannon, and they can really pack a punch while still being able to move quickly. Because the LAVs hold so many troops, it's important to treat these as not just an attack vehicle, but a transport as well. If you're leaving your spawn with one of these infantry fighting vehicles, be sure to check for teammates that might need a ride. They can actually use the gun ports on the IFV to assist you in the fight. Now when you're considering some of the upgrades for the LAV-25, you can kind of go in two different directions. You can either be an anti-infantry focused IFV or an anti-vehicle focused IFV, at least here in the beta. If you want to go anti-infantry as your primary goal, be sure to equip the light machine gun to help get rid of those infantry when they get up close. If you want to be able to help against main battle tanks and other armored targets, pick the TOW missile. This is a wire-guided missile that packs a massive punch. That will help you take out enemy armor much more quickly and actually allows the IFVs to sometimes go toe-to-toe with main battle tanks. When you're maneuvering in your LAVs, you need to remember that the disabling system in Battlefield 4 is a bit different compared to Battlefield 3. The threshold for being disabled is no longer just a set percentage of your health, it's now based on the actual hit locations that the enemies get on you. Don't expose your rear or your engine to the enemy's rockets. They will take out your engine, you'll get a mobility hit, and you won't be able to move nearly as fast. Be sure to keep an eye on your health as you're fighting, and if you're taking too much damage, don't be afraid to fall back and either manually repair or let your health tick up slowly by itself. If you do get out to repair, be sure that you're backed into a corner where the enemy won't be able to come up and steal your vehicle or kill you and then steal your vehicle. Also, when fighting with the IFVs or any other vehicle that does use ammunition, remember that the faster you use your ammo, the slower it recharges. Be sure to keep an eye on your primary magazine pool of ammo in your cannon, as well as the replenishing ammo that is slowly ticking back up on the right side of your ammo counter. If you get into a couple of quick fights in quick succession, you're going to want to fall back a little bit and let your ammo come back in and replenish, otherwise you will run out in the middle of a firefight. Next up, let's take a look at the main battle tanks. These are the heavily armored behemoths that are really designed to go toe-to-toe with the enemy tanks. As far as mobility and fighting style goes, all of the tactics from the IFVs do apply here. You want to watch your ammo counter carefully, and you want to watch which side you're taking damage on carefully. The top and the rear of your tank are the most vulnerable places to get hit. If you get a direct RPG right in the engine and the rear of your tank, that will most likely count as a mobility hit and will take out your ability to move quickly, leaving you open to further attacks. Keep the front of your vehicle with the best armor facing the enemy and watch out for attacks from above. One of the easiest mistakes to make with the main battle tanks is to get too deep into an engagement and forget to watch your health. The tank does have more armor, allowing you to fight longer against multiple targets, but at the same time it's really easy to get distracted and either just let your health get chipped away at, or let an enemy get up behind you. A teammate in the gunner position to watch your back and help with repairs is a huge boost. Communicate with your squad using the in-game voice over IP to ask for help with your tank. Also, whenever possible, when working on distance shots, be sure to practice on far targets even if there are no enemies there, just to learn how the shots drop. This will allow you to drop shots over obstacles and into the fog and hit enemies where they can't even see you yet. Also, don't forget, use the enemy's armor against them. During a tank engagement, if they're sitting still and you have the ability to get closer, try to flank around them quickly by using shift to boost your tank at maximum speed and get a shot in the side or rear of their tank, which will do much more damage. And once again, just because your tank is taking tons of damage, don't hop out and run away. If you're surrounded by enemies and you're outnumbered, there's a good chance that if you try to run, you're going to die anyway, and they're just going to steal that tank and repair it and then use it against you. If you're being swarmed, just go down with the ship. Don't give away your team assets to the enemy. Now we have a pretty unique vehicle here to talk about. That would be the naval gunboat. At first glance, it's not very impressive until you really try this thing out for the first time. It is quite literally a floating tank. The grenade launcher that this thing is armed with is accurate, has a ton of ammo, and does a lot of splash damage. You can shoot down helicopters with that primary grenade launcher. In addition, it has a number of minigun spots in the rear of the vehicle. Get your squad mates on there to help protect you from infantry, including RPGs along the shore. The miniguns will also help protect you against helicopters. The main enemy you have to watch for when using a gunboat are helicopters, and then especially main battle tanks. In a duel versus a gunboat with a main battle tank, the main battle tank is really going to win out as long as the gunner on the tank is accurate because of the extra armor on the tank. If, on the other hand, as the gunner and pilot of one of these gunboats, if you catch a tank by surprise, you can rather quickly destroy it. Once you unlock them, use your additional tow missiles to really take out armor quickly. The tow missiles help your ambushing by allowing you to hit the tank with a tow first, and then quickly follow up with a barrage of 40mm grenades from the grenade launcher, finishing it off before it even has a chance to respond. A well-coordinated squad can dominate the entire middle of the map with a gunboat. Well, that covers land and sea, so next up let's talk about air. Let's start with the transport chopper. All of the rules of the general light transport vehicles on ground do apply here. If you're taking off from your main base with a transport helicopter, check out anybody who might be left behind and needing a ride in your spawn first. Don't just leave teammates behind. These transport choppers are kind of unique because they are pretty well armed. They have dual miniguns, which, while they don't have a lot of splash damage, can really pump out some accurate fire. If you end up with a bunch of snipers on top of a building on Siege of Shanghai, they're just harassing your teammates, they're locking onto your helicopters with SOFLAMs and just taking out a ton of people, get that transport, pack it full, get the miniguns up there, and rake that roof with minigun fire. If the enemy tries to run, just come in low and drop off some guys on top of those rooftops to help clear them. And that's really the main advantage of the transport chopper. You can get a ton of teammates, 6 total in that helicopter, to anywhere on the map very, very quickly. Even the very tip top of C flag before the tower is collapsed. It can be very, very difficult to take that top C flag in the skyscraper by just using the elevators. But if you bring in 6 guys right to the roof, that might swing that fight in your team's favor really, really quickly. As you're flying the transport chopper, don't forget that RPGs in Battlefield 4 travel much faster than their counterparts in Battlefield 3. If you hover too long or move too slowly as you fly through the city, there's a good chance either a tank or one of those faster RPGs is going to catch you and knock you out of the sky. If you do take a lot of damage and you do end up with a mobility hit and you are disabled, try to maintain control of the helicopter and drift it down to a light landing to repair it. Don't just bail at the first sign of an attack. A lot of times, your vehicle will drift to the ground and not actually be destroyed, once again, giving the enemy a free team asset. Finally, we have the attack helicopter class of vehicles. These are the vehicles you really want to be super aggressive with. Remember to coordinate your list of targets as soon as you take off. First off, you're going to want to look for enemy attack helicopters. They should be your #1 target. Once the enemy air assets are taken down, go for the enemy transport choppers because they can catch you by surprise and eventually shoot you out of the sky with those dual miniguns. Once the enemy has no air assets left with attack or transport choppers, your next priority needs to be main battle tanks. An attack from above with an attack helicopter does a lot of damage to a main battle tank. With 2 passes, a coordinated gunner and pilot can wipe out a main battle tank, saving your teammates the trouble of trying to do it themselves on the ground. With all air vehicles and main battle tanks taken care of, just keep working your way down the list of enemy assets to destroy. Take out any kind of IFVs or watercraft or even light transports make for great targets. If there are no vehicles harassing your team at the time, check out the rooftops for campers. There's nothing quite as fun as catching an entire enemy squad full of snipers on a rooftop as you just peek over that edge and lay waste with your rockets and your cannons. Even though you're going to be wanting to play this aggressively, don't be afraid to use skyscrapers and narrow passageways to block enemy incoming fire and incoming missiles. If you've already used your flares and you get an incoming missile, just dive as fast as possible and try to get behind something. Even if you still get hit, you have a good chance of being able to land it and make repairs. On that note, choose your repair sites carefully. Don't land your chopper in the middle of enemy-held territory to make repairs. Someone's going to shoot you in the back and steal that chopper. Overall, guys, just try to remember to help your team out with your vehicles. When you're up front, playing the objective, taking flags, and supporting your team, not only is that supporting your team, but it's going to be the best way for you to really rack up kills and points. If you have a squad leader, try to follow your squad leader's orders to get even more points. Well, that about does it for this quick vehicle primer in Battlefield 4. I'm planning on updating this in the future once the full game is out with some jet tips as well. If you guys have additional comments or questions, be sure to drop those down there in the comments. And if you found this video to be helpful, hitting the like button helps me figure out which videos are the most popular and the most helpful to make more of them in the future. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you all next time.